What is going on, guys? It is Trifecta J here, and this is going to be the edited version of the off-season stream that I did earlier this weekend, and we're going to go ahead and do a look at the stats from this season. Luke Falk ends up with 2,500 yards passing, 21 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. As a whole, I thought he played pretty well and pretty much improved every game that we played, and he'll be returning for his junior year. So our running backs, both of them played really well before they both got hurt. Wicks was out for the season and Morrow missed a chunk of the bowl game. On defense, Daryl Monroe, another really good year. Destiny Vile and Robert Barber were extremely good playing at the end position and the defensive tackle position. Charleston White and Farrar with 5 interceptions and 3 interceptions respectively. We forced 3 fumbles on the season, didn't really turn the other teams over that much. But now we look at the career stats. All of these stats have occurred in this series. Gabe Marks with 2 really good seasons. Dom Williams, the other graduating wide receiver, only pretty much played 1 season. Daryl Monroe, 155 tackles. Lamora already 154, and he'll be back for another season. And Taliulu has 110 tackles. Bio ends his career with 22 sacks on the year and 15 earn his career and 15 for Robert Barber. But now we'll move forward to our players leaving. We have no players transferring. That's really good to see. Nice to see that no one's trying to mess up my plans. We do have 1 player get drafted. I was really a little bit surprised that was the only person who was drafted, and that was Gabe Marks, who ended up going in the 4th round. I thought maybe Xavier Cooper, maybe Destiny Viao, or one of the offensive linemen that we had would have been picked. But Marcus Mariota is finally gone from Oregon. That's nice to see. He went in the 1st round, probably 1st overall. Now we have 4 players that I was really targeting, and a top 4 on my board. Brandon Landry, Wade Welsh, and Joe Brown were the 4. We needed depth at guard. Outside linebacker, once again, we needed depth. And after missing out on Greg Covington, I wanted to get another defensive end. And Joe Brown, I thought, could maybe be a situational pass rusher. Not big, but he's strong and has the pass rushing moves that I look for. We would go ahead and give Brandon Landry a good chunk of points. We have to overcome a pretty big deficit, about a 1,200 point deficit. Eric Ford, we have a big lead, so I ended up giving him about 1,500 points, as I thought that would definitely be enough. Wade Welsh, we have a little bit of a deficit, not too big, only 400, 500 points. He ends up with 2,500 points. And Joe Brown, a pretty big lead, not too big, but we have to get him to actually commit, so he ends up with 1,000 points. We would put another 500 on Brandon Landry. Eric Ford, a very fast linebacker, who gets another 500, another 250 for Wade Welsh, who would probably redshirt, and Joe Brown, who would play right away. We gave him a couple other, I think like 200 more points. But now on signing day, we end up just barely getting Brandon Landry. Joe Brown ends up going to no school, same with Kendrick Horn. And Eric Ford, I guess Miami and Florida State went all out for him. We lost that one. Marcus Harrison goes to Syracuse. We do end up getting Wade Welsh, so we get 2 of our top 4. End up with a 55th ranked class with some walk-ons. 1 walk-on we got, if you remember, Raymond Barber, a middle linebacker. We ended up getting him. He walked on to our team. And we also, with the players, or the position changes, it was a lot of just positioning between like left end, left outside, right tackle, left tackle, and we ended up moving David Buchanan to free safety to be our starter for this year. Luke Falk ends up going up by 5 points. That's nice to see. He got a little bit of a stronger arm and a little bit more accurate. Peyton Bender, who I just realized during the stream, he has the same accurate or higher accuracy in the same throw power, so he might get a look in some of the early games of the season. Both Wicks and Morrow now are 90 overalls each. Both are complete studs. Nice to see both of them coming back and being in the same backfield. It will be really scary for other teams. River Craycraft and Sebastian LaRue are our number 1 and 2 receivers, along with Richie Wiley, who might be playing on the outside. He's our only receiver really with any sort of speed on this team. Actually, any sort of height is what I mean. It's 6'2". Our next tallest is 6 foot, and no one else is above 6 foot. The 6 foot receiver is River Craycraft. Martin Woodard, who will be playing at or starting at left tackle, goes up for Timothy Love, who might play at left guard. We also have a very talented backup center, who might move over. He went up +8. Carlos Freeman, he just, I guess, went ham in the offseason. He looks to be really good. Eduardo Middleton goes up to an 86. He looks to be a very good piece. And then Sam Floor, who started season 1, will be starting again this year at right tackle. Defensive end is sort of where I have some worries for this team. Daniel Ekuale, a junior defensive end, and Kingston Fernandez along with Hercules Mataafa. Both of them not really the highest overall, but one person who can really anchor our defensive line is Robert Barber, up to a 90 overall. And then that second defensive tackle spot is really up in the air between Mo Tapa and Jimmy Benson. Outside linebacker, we graduated 6 in the offseason, or 6 linebackers as a whole. Paris Taylor looks to be the starter, and then we have 2 middle linebackers who can be competing for that starting spot. And then at the right outside spot, we have Greg Hoyd, a very fast linebacker who should be a nice player as a redshirt sophomore, as we will be going from having probably one of the top front sevens, or at least a very talented one, to a very inexperienced one coming into this year. Our secondary really improved, now 4 above 80 overall and 1 79 overall. Daquan Brown, really good coverage ratings, 95 man, 90 zone. David Buchanan goes up 4, now an 86 overall. I feel like he could definitely be one of our breakout players this year. Isaac Dotson will get some playing time in the 3 safety looks. Darius Lamora continues to improve. I thought he played really well last season, played okay in season 1, but it's nice to see another really good jump, very good in coverage. Now look at our top players. We have 5 90 overall players along with an 88 overall, which is our punter. So this looks to be a very talented team. And now my least favorite part of the offseason, we have to cut players. Pat Porter, he's quick, but not big and not great coverage ratings. So we would end up cutting him. I think the corners we have on the roster right now are all really good. And our final cut is Billy Green, a walk-on defensive tackle, or offensive tackle, not defensive tackle. So now looking at our schedule, South Alabama, we will open the year at home, then play Kansas. This is a little bit different than the one you saw if you were in the live stream. Playing South Carolina on the road in week 4, and then Troy late in the season. So we end the year once again with Oregon, Oregon State, and then Washington. Now looking at the redshirting of the players, I like to redshirt basically every possible player that we can who is incoming. I like to redshirt, get him that extra year of development and that extra year of eligibility. Brandon Landry, who we really wanted to get, gets the redshirt along with the 2 receivers that we got. Luke Woods, who would be our 3rd string center, gets the red shirt as a freshman. Then 2 guards, Clayton Little, who I really hope he doesn't transfer now, but he would definitely move into that starting role next year after Eduardo Middleton leaves. And Sam Graham, a walk-on guard, also gets the red shirt. Marcus Mann, a 6'7 tackle, gets the red shirt. So a lot of players along this offensive line, not a lot of depth this year, as a good bit of them are redshirting. Wade Welsh and Anthony Gray, along with Justin Rogers, who is a walk-on, all get redshirted. Pretty much all of them are developmental guys. Ryan Branch, only 6 feet tall, but a very talented guy. Eric Sykes, another guy who's got to develop, very athletically talented, but not much else for him. Raymond Barber, a 6'4 freshman middle linebacker, initially was a soft commit to UCLA, but ended up coming to us. Alex Dixon, who I thought might be able to play a little bit this year, gets the red shirt. Marcel Stewart, who would be buried on the depth chart. Daryl King, who's buried on the depth chart and just needs that extra year of development. And then one more guy is George Evans. We don't have a lot of depth at strong safety, but we can back up Darius Lamora with some of our free safeties. So now a look at our depth chart. Right now, Richie Wiley will be our number 2 receiver with LaRue playing in the slot. I'm going in and doing formation subs where LaRue will be our number 2 receiver when there aren't 3 receivers on the field. Paris Taylor will get the opening day start at left outside linebacker. Hoyd at right outside linebacker. Farrar will stick in the nickel duties, and Lamora is your starting free safety. Now we're going to finish this up with some practice. I'm not really going to be talking much about the gameplay, mostly about what I expect from this team and sort of a breakdown of this roster moving forward. So at quarterback, Luke Falk, who played well last year, I've said this before, he really wasn't asked to do a whole lot. We relied on our running game a good bit, and he just didn't turn the ball over. That's all I wanted from him. He started off the year a little slow in that department. I think he had like maybe 4 interceptions in the first couple of games, but really slowed that down to end the season. Then at running back, we get Gerard Wicks back. Jamal Morrow. And then we now have 5 active running backs after 2 freshmen who redshirted last year will be playing some. So we should be able to withstand some injuries a little bit better this year. In wide receiver, we lost our 2, but I feel like Craycraft, Wiley, and LaRue can all step in very nicely to fill the void left by Marks and Williams. I feel like they'll do a very nice job of that. At tight end, only continue to improve. Steve Stewart will probably get a little bit more snaps. He has improved his blocking in the offseason. Our offensive line, we lost a couple of starters, but I trust the players who will be stepping in. Now on defense is what really concerns me with this team. We lost 7 total starters, including 3 along the defensive line, and the players who will be stepping into their shoes are inexperienced and really not that talented. So that does worry me. We lost, I believe, 6 or 7 linebackers from last year's team. So that's another area, but I feel like the players who will be stepping in, Paris Taylor, Greg Hoyd, they'll play pretty well. I do worry though, not a lot of experience, not a lot of playing time so far. So it's just sort of a unknown time thing. In our secondary, we lose only 1 starter. Our corners should continue to improve, so that'll be nice to see. They've been young throughout this series, and now they're starting to get into the upperclassmen. 1 senior and I believe 3 juniors, so this should be the year where they really need to take a step forward. At safety, David Buchanan, who played a little bit last year, will be stepping into the starting position, replacing Taylor Taliulu. I feel like he could play pretty well. And then we still have the known in Darius Lamora, who I think will continue to improve and be a really good impact player for us on defense. He might play a little bit of the high zone this year at the strong safety spot. And then at kicker, we have a true freshman player who I have a little bit of worries. So I tested out his leg in the offseason live stream, and it's pretty much out to maybe like 48 yards, so not a very strong leg. Our kicker improved a lot in the offseason in Descalo, so that was nice to see. And then a kick returner, we're going to try out some different players, see which players step up, which ones play well, and things like that. But I feel like this team, I wouldn't be totally surprised with a step back, especially along the defensive side of the ball, because you just graduate so many players, it's hard to continue the success we had last year. Offense, pretty much everyone returns. I can see receivers maybe taking a little bit of step back, but last year they weren't all that impressive. This is a team, my goal will be continue to improve, but it might be difficult. Ideally, I would love for us to make a Pac-12 championship this year, especially with Oregon taking a step back of sorts, losing their All-American quarterback. But we still do have a lot of competition in the Pac-12 North. But that is pretty much going to do it for the recap of the offseason. I'm not showing any preseason recruiting, as I did a little bit in the offseason live stream, but a lot of the players that were on the board, I've gone back through and really done some work with it. So some of the players that we saw there aren't really on the board, or there's just some different players. So I'll show it very early this season. I'm going to try and show it a lot. It's the class that I have going right now. It looks to be a very talented one, and if we reel in the players that I'm targeting, I feel like it will be a big step in this dynasty, getting some of these players in, as I did find a quarterback maybe of the future, along with probably one of the fastest players that I've ever seen as a freshman recruit. So it's just very exciting. But I will see you for the first game of the season. I hope to have it up pretty soon. I don't know, but I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like down below. Leave your comments on the offseason down below. Leave it on just some of the recruiting and what are your expectations for this upcoming season. As like I said, I'll see you for South Alabama. I hope you did enjoy, because I'm out.